This is a recorded presentation from our WordPress meetup for WordPress St. Petersburg at the Suncoast Developers Guild. Please allow me to introduce Jim True for his presentation of Plan Before You Build, Information Architecture, and Content Strategy. All right, you're here tonight because our talk is on Plan Before You Build, Information Architecture, and Content Strategy. My name is Jim True. I am the support lead and community manager at the Pods framework. My website is jimtrue.com. My Twitter is Jim True. Our website for Pods is pods.io, and their Twitter is Pods Framework. We'll be coming back to talking about Pods later on in the talk, so I'm just going to briefly put this up here. What is content? Well, in terms of the web, content is the hardest thing to collect from your clients other than the paycheck. If you've ever tried to get content out of clients, it's like pulling teeth. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is that content for the web can be anything of substance that you need to share, promote, or provide information to your users about your business or service or products. Basically, it's anything that will help promote your business or drive the function of your website. I did a wiki search for this one, a Wikipedia one for information architecture, and it is the structural design of shared information environments, the art and science of organizing and labeling websites, intranets, online communities, and software to support usability and findability. What you'll notice there is I highlighted in orange the most important words. Content should be organized, should be easily accessed, should be promotable, shareable, usable, findable, connected. Out of those words there, the ones that really matter are the ones that are like from SEO, if you think about it. Things are usable, they're findable. Basically, the content helps drive your search engine optimization by being stuff that people are actually looking for. Your content should be things that people want to find, or what they're trying to find. So let's go into an example here. Amazon as an example. What's the purpose of Amazon's website? Anyone? To sell things? That's exactly right. To sell products primarily. That's what it was driven for. Come on in, have a seat anywhere. We've got some chairs around and some places and desks up here as well. Content is information. How does Amazon use information organization to fulfill this purpose? Well, its product pages make it very easy to upsell things. They cross-sell things. They, based on yours or other buyers' purchase history, they use the recommendations, reviews of similar products to help actually sell those items as information architecture. Products sell themselves. They don't have to have a sales force. That's the biggest reason Amazon does what they do, is they don't have to have anyone out there selling anything, because they use that gigantic database of information of what you like to buy, what you like to buy, what you bought the other day, and then suddenly someone else bought, to help sell this stuff all by itself. Amazon product page. We're going to do a content model now. This is just a standard one for the Dune book by Frank Herbert. And on this page, if you were looking at it and going, oh my God, what is all the content I need to collect for this? I'm confused of that. Well, if we break it down, you've got media and photos about a product that you're collecting. You've got product details, the ISBN, the creator and the publisher, the reviews and collections that it's part of, the genre. You have book formats and different pricing for those book formats. We also have offers and sales that apply to these particular items. You have product descriptions and recommendations and purchase history comparisons all down below. And of course, in the nice little thing over to the right, you've got the price, the one-click purchase button, the shipping details, current offers, sales, shopping lists, and wish lists. If we were going to break this into a data structure, we would look at it as a data model. The main content we're concerned about is products. I put a couple of fields here. Every single thing that you would actually be collecting as content for this particular website would actually have its own little set of fields that belong to that particular little box. But I'm only going to be showing you like for the first one in most cases. So in addition to products, the sub-content we're storing for this particular site is media and photos, offers and sales, recommendations, reviews, and purchase history. These are data content points that we would have to collect for creating an Amazon website. And if we were looking at organizational stuff, we'd be organizing all of our products by authors or creators. Because if you were not thinking of a book, if you were thinking of a computer, a creator would be an Apple in that case, or a brand of that kind. Publishers, collections, book formats, genre categories, and tags. I'm going to do another one. Texas state parks as an example, a state park website. What's the purpose of a state park website?
To attract people, sorry.
No, go ahead.
To attract people to the park?
Pretty much. Yes, to increase park attendance primarily.
Can you tell them where it is?
That too, but yeah, it's to increase park attendance. That's the primary function of a park website. And the reason we're talking about Texas state parks is when I did this talk initially, the very first time, I was in Texas and I was doing a major road trip, and I was staying at one of these particular parks, and I used it to find out where it was, what its information was, what amenities it had, etc. So how does the Texas State Parks use information organization to fulfill the purpose of primarily pushing park attendance? Well, park pages make it easy to find park information, hours, contact details, events at the parks, recreational activities, camping details. It basically makes it so they don't have to print out a whole bunch of different brochures and distribute them across the entire state. They can have one site that everybody goes to. They don't have to have someone sitting there on the phone answering all those questions, though there are people doing that, but it also kind of cuts down on that. They also end up doing parks promote themselves, self-promotion again. The whole point, coming back to your website as a function, is to basically replace an employee, hopefully. That's the goal anyway, is to replace an employee and help promote whatever your business is. So for the state park thing, we have all these little tabs across the top that break things down, and they're the maps, the fees, the amenities, the event calendar, history, and reviews. You have lots of park photos so that you can find out what's nice about it. You have camp info, contact details, hours, social links. You have a reservation system so that they can actually book their own reservations for the camp on their own. And there was also a nice little blip there in the middle. Let me go back a bit.
Emergency information.
Yeah, the emergency. Yeah, we'll close from October 28th until November 10th because of floods and stuff. So fire back through that one again. There we go. So state parks organized. State parks with their address, the geocode, all that information. We have sub-content, media photos, maps and campsites, camper reviews, event calendar, weather. Weather's a huge one for state parks. Organizationally, you break it up by amenities. Does this place take camper connections? Does it have horse riding? Does it have, all that kind of stuff? And then region is like, what part of the state is it in? And then, of course, for this one, I added a little section for external systems for reservations and probably for MailChimp for people that wanted to join their contact list and get information about things happening at the park. So, in all of these talks, or in all this discussion, content is the key. All of your content should drive the purpose of your website. There's not a single piece of content on your website that should be there just superfluously. It should all be answering a question that someone out on the web is asking and finding from you in a Google sense. What you're looking at is usable, searchable, organized content. We get back to that same structure again. The content is data that you're trying to represent in a logical, structural way. So it's all connected. It has a purpose. Your data drives the content drives the purpose drives the data structure. All of them are connected. To look at it another way, your content strategy fulfills this purpose because your content strategy is the purpose that drives the data model, your information architecture, which drives your content model, your wireframes. When you look at those websites, or when you're designing a website for a business, you come up with a consistent plan for how you're going to present the content. And that actually tells you, okay, that's my content strategy. That fulfills my purpose because it's consistent. And then that also tells you what data I need to collect. And again, they all work together. Well-structured information, which also leads to more easily populated wireframes, which fulfill the purpose of your site and informs well-structured information. They all connect. Data, content, wire, and purpose. So how does this relate to WordPress after we're doing all this long talk? Well, WordPress is a content management system. It means we're talking about making it easier for our clients or you to manage the content inside WordPress. Managing includes displaying that content in multiple places on your site without repeating yourself too. That's a huge one. If you enter in an information on, like if you've been working WordPress now, you've got pages, you've got posts, and you're used to like typing in things. Well, if you suddenly want that information to show up in a widget, are you going to have to cut and copy and put it over here? You don't want to do that. You want to enter the content in one place and have it automatically populate wherever you want it to go. And you don't want to have your client know how to build something. You want them to enter content and be done. Their job is not to be a web designer. That's your job. hopefully. So you're probably used to working in pages, posts, categories, and tags. Well, you could try to manage all your content model in pages and posts and organize it with categories and tags. You're going to be doing a lot of cut and pasting. Pages don't have all the additional fields you'd need for that. Going back to the state park, they don't have an address, they don't have hours, they don't have all that information. There's no way to differentiate different content types. There's also no easy way to segment part of a page to display it in different areas. There's no way to say in a staff list to pull out just the staff members and show them on a schedule grid of yoga classes. So I'm going to talk about a lot of different business models because that's what the primary portion of this talk is me actually taking your business models and aligning them to a data model. Categories work great for hierarchy. Hierarchy is organized classified content where you've got like Florida and the cities inside Florida, or you've got like brands and maybe like, I don't know, or like or hierarchy is a complicated thing, but it works in categories, but it's not great for organizing stuff because not every single thing fits into categories or tags. There's no way to pick and choose the organizational model. Genre isn't the same thing as the color or the model of something. So like if you're in an e-commerce website and you want to organize things by a specific brand, yeah, you could sit there and put the brands in, but then what about the colors of those items? Or what about, different technological specs and stuff? So we need to get out of that mode. Content management in WordPress, we break it down. What is this? Oh, yeah, duh. Sorry, my bad. How you handle content management in WordPress is by custom post types. If we're going back to our Amazon model again, all of those little green boxes in the sub-content and main content, those are custom post types. They're stored as separate little items like that. These little guys within that one product are custom fields. And those guys over there to the right are all called custom taxonomies. The word taxonomy is going to freak out a lot of people if you didn't go to college biology, but taxonomy is just a system of classifying things. It's a way to organize things so that they make sense in a very structured way. And that's why they use the word taxonomy in WordPress. So you can create custom post types, fields, and taxonomies in WordPress with code. Custom post types are created with register_post type. There are a couple of plugins out there that will do this automatically for you. CPT UI, types, and pods. Custom fields is used to register meta, or custom fields is called, the function is called register meta. And many of the plugins that most people are familiar with are like ACF or CMB2. Types and pods are also register custom fields. Custom taxonomy is through register taxonomy. And each one of these have got the link for the actual function reference at WordPress. But like I said, there's a lot of code. For registering taxonomy, CPT UI does it, types does it, and pods does it. The one most common thing on there, and the one I'm going to be talking about, is pods. WordPress and pods. Pods is a content development framework for WordPress. We help you grow beyond posts and pages. We allow you to manage your content in one place. And that's kind of the primary purpose of it. There's two links down at the bottom of this, and they will be linked off in the slides. The first there is where to get it on WordPress, and the second one is a link to our talk that we did here, well, not here, but Iron Yard, back in August of 2016 on Grow Beyond Posts and Pages. It's a more practical overview of how our plugin works. And we're not going to be talking about that part of it in the talk tonight because this talk really is about how to figure out what content you need. But how does Pods help with content? We help you manage your custom post types, your taxonomy, and your custom fields all in one place without any coding. We connect content to content. If you're looking at, let's go back to the gym again. The gym has instructors that teach classes at a specific time of day, and you'd need like a schedule grid of when those classes meet. So let's say a schedule. Your teacher or your instructors can be linked directly to classes, and those classes are taught on a very specific day and time of the week. Well, by creating those little connections between each other, I can create a list of staff members or instructors and what classes they're teaching. I can create a grid of classes and show what instructors are teaching it and when they're being taught, and I can also create the grid. So relationship, what we're talking about is actually relationships, relational content. Books are written by authors. That's a relationship. Let me see. keep going. You can extend existing post types with pods as well, like your users, your media, your comments, your posts and pages, even custom post types from other plugins like WooCommerce. You can take those things and actually add additional fields to them with pods. And you can easily prototype your content with pods templates, which means that you can create these little mailbirds-like templates that you can, show off a little block of content, like maybe that block, one little block in that schedule grid that shows the class and who's teaching it and the time, and automatically output that. You can plan your content with pods. And this is how we're basically taking our structure model and working it on through. You plan your content types based on the data model. You determine which will be custom post types and which will be custom taxonomies. You add custom fields to the custom content types above. You determine if you need to extend what WordPress provides. And you determine whether your connections will be, you determine where your connections will be, what relationship fields you need. What's the difference between a taxonomy versus a relationship? Going back to taxonomy, taxonomy is a way to organize things. I've got a purple shirt on. I don't see anybody else with a purple shirt on. We got 4 blue-shirted people. We have several people with gray hair. Some people with brunettes. It's that kind of thing. You organize things in a group of things. Basically, if your content can stand alone by itself, one author, one book, it should be a custom post type connected by a relationship. If, however, it can only exist as a group of things, people wearing blue shirts, people having gray hair, bald people, then you organize them with a custom taxonomy. They are used for organization. Okay, so what kind of content do you have? And this is where we start doing the fun little hands-on portion of the play game tonight. We're going to take and figure out what your data content model is. Elaine, you've got one, don't you?
Yes.
I thought so. You have a yoga, what is it?
Membership, teachers membership site.
Okay, so Elaine has a yoga teachers membership site. The folks sign up for listing their directory information inside the yoga directory, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And so we're going to call this the Florida Yoga Association, Yoga Teachers Association. And the purpose of your website is, that's the wrong place. Hang on. That actually goes there. The purpose of her website is to,
spread knowledge about yoga.
That's not actually the real purpose. The real purpose is to get teachers to sign up to it to list their information.
Okay.
So,
the mission statement.
Yeah, the real mission, the thing that makes money for the Florida Yoga Teachers Association is getting more directory listings, I think would be the word, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do we do that? How do we use a content model to actually make getting more directory listings attractive? Something moved around there. So in this case, what you're actually doing, that didn't work, right? Hang on. Data content model. Oh, I must not have typed it right. Hang on, my bad. Purpose to get more directory listings. There we go. I flipped it. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out later. This was great last time. I'm all confused now. Anyway, so the main content model we got here are teachers, correct? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teachers.
You're storing teachers. Okay.
Storing teachers.
Okay. All right. So. All right, Jimbo. Bring forward. There we go. Okay, so you're going to be storing teachers, and you're going to be keeping information like.
But then they have locations.
Well, that's kind of your organizational stuff. So we actually go over here to organizational, and let's say bring that to front, please. Yeah. Sorry, guys, I'm working in Sketch, but I'm I should probably use a one model and just constantly copy that one instead. So we know we want to do locations or regions in Florida, right? Yeah. You do it by cities? Cities? Okay, so cities in Florida. And then you also have what, modalities? Styles of yoga?
They teach.
Okay, and that's what you organize the whole thing by. Talk. Okay, so things I'll just call it styles, I think. some sub-content that would help benefit this somewhat. Actually having events across the state. Like kind of an event calendar? Or you have an event calendar, right? Yeah, I thought so. So that actually allows you to further promote, because the folks that are actually listing themselves in the yoga directory, they can promote when they're doing special events or workshops and stuff like that. So it makes it more attractive. Maybe they have to pay to actually list their events inside the calendar. So there's more money-making methods for the teachers. Maybe...
You have a blog also, but nobody ever...
Yeah, blogs are, we're not going to talk about blogs. Blogs are like built into WordPress, and they're awesome, but they're one of those kind of things that, like, yeah, they're quite useful if you were doing like maybe like profiles of teachers and stuff like that. So like doing highlights? No, that's not the right word. Featured teacher?
Emotional thing.
Featured teacher. There we go. Your featured teacher creature. Sorry. I just had to. I love words. Anyway, another one might be, what is it that almost every single person who has a certification in Florida, what is it called? CEUs, continuing education? Yeah. That would be another thing to promote with.
Opportunities like that.
Yeah, the continuing education classes and schedules and registrations and stuff like that. So that would be another way to bring more content into the site, because it may not be useful for the students going to the things, but it's really useful for the yoga instructors. So
they also bring well-known.
Oh yeah, that's right.
People to teach a big event, and you get a discount on going to that event.
Yeah, so you're tying that into the event calendars and stuff like that. So I mean, this is pretty straightforward data model. You've already hit most of it, and you and I've talked about it enough that we've gotten it where it needs to go. Organizationally, she's using Facet WP to kind of filter the directory down so that she can search by zip code or location. I think you do it by like regions in Florida and then cities in Florida, right?
Well, we worked out facets, so you can just type in any old thing.
Right, and they kind of work. So, and the same thing with the styles and stuff. So, in this case, she doesn't really need much relationships unless you were going to relate, like if a specific teacher was in the directory, was going to be teaching a specific event. This kind of model is kind of like what we use for the Tampa Bay WordPress website. We actually use Modern Tribes event calendar, and we've expanded it with pods and created additional content. Our most important thing for Tampa Bay WordPress.org, our website, is the event calendar. It lets everybody know when we're doing meetups. But the most other important thing of the WordPress website, or our WordPress website, is the videos and slides at those events, the instructors that speak at them and stuff like that. So we pulled that out as well. I've also created like information about each of the meetups and the venues where we host our stuff. So our structure is getting more and more complicated as it goes along, because I like to do that kind of stuff. But it's also pretty helpful because we have an archive of all the talks we've done. We have an archive of any instructor, like you come in and talk, Michelle, you talk, and your talk will be listed underneath your name. You have a speaker page and everything else. So it's awesome. Love it. Okay. So let's hear another website idea. Okay, Alex, go ahead.
Well, it's a blog, that's the problem.
That's okay. It's okay. Talk about it.
Basketball blog.
What's special about it? You said it's a basketball blog, but I mean, there's got to be something purpose-driven about it to some extent.
To put advertising in the content, and I need to build the email list more to capture that information.
Alrighty. Let's see. So you have a basketball blog, and you're trying to monetize it, right?
I mean, I'm doing it a little bit, but more, yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's see, fix some basketball blog. Do you track like scores and teams and stuff like that?
Not really. This is more like providing analysis and just sort of opinions on what's happening.
What kind of analysis?
related to the games themselves and
Like-
how things are happening. Like sometimes news related if it's like the summertime, like it's just ending the off season. So.
Are you like doing college, pro? Pro? Okay. So when you're talking about analysis, you're talking about statistics, right? Like win, lose?
That's a little bit more so just like, strategical analysis.
Okay. So which players are better at specific things, that sort of thing?
Kind of, and how they fit together and how they could fit together over time.
Okay. All right. So, okay, monetize a...
Sort of.
What was that?
Moneyball.
Moneyball, okay. I got you. All right. I think I did those right this time. Let's see. Yay! All right. So in your case, most of your... Oops, that was not what I wanted to hit. In your case, most of your... We'll do a different color this time. We'll make them blue, purple. Okay. So your primary data are your articles. But your sub-content, what you're actually using to kind of drive additional information, is going to be... Let me delete these guys here. And get rid of this. Because I actually can kind of think of a couple of things here. So your article may be your primary content. Good Lord, would you stop that? Arrange. I hate when it does that. Arrange, send back. Not that far back. Bring forward. Okay, you. Come all the way to the front. Bring forward to the front. Bring to front. There we go. Okay. You're also storing things by the teams. So is one of your things. Because you've got the teams. You've got the players. I don't know if the coaches matter to your analysis. Do they?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Often.
Okay, kind of figured they might be. So these are like kind of things where you can store coaches, not couches. Not doing that kind of plan. Anyway, so in this kind of situation, the teams actually might be more organizational and less content driven. Because if someone was coming to your site, they might be looking at like the game scores and stuff like that. That's content. That's actual content. That's not organizational. But in the case of your, the teams is actually organizing a bunch of players together into a group along with the coaches and their scores. So those kind of fall together. And you can also organize articles based on those particular things. There's seasons, I guess, would be one. It would be an organizational one. And the idea of like breaking out your content like this and giving it more of a data model is that the more organized it is, the easier it is to search, the easier it is to filter by, and the easier it is for SEO to pick it up. You know, because Google's going, I heard there was this guy that writes analysis on websites, and I want to find out about, I don't know, Yogi Berra from that game in 2004 and stuff like that. And then they find you because you've got it nicely organized. So that's the kind of thing. The more organization that you can apply to even a blog site and provide more statistics and more information, the better that site's going to be. Because then you all actually, if you're looking for content like you've been doing analysis, and then you know that you've got like one player that's popped up in several of your different analysis articles and you really want to highlight that particular player, you can actually add articles like player highlights or coach highlights and how that coach particularly impacts particular things.
What do you mean by highlights? Do you mean like linking back, or do you?
More along the lines of like taking an article and promoting, inside your own stuff. You can
internal links.
Yeah, internal links and external links. Because you can link. I didn't even think about YouTube. That's awesome.
I use it. Yeah, I use that regularly.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, that's kind of it. You've got like the videos of game, bits.
Right, highlights.
So I'm just gonna put game videos or video highlights. Yeah. You can even link out to like the official websites for any of those teams, seasons, etc. And the players and stuff like that.
The other thing that may fit into this is I look at salary caps, the team's payroll sometimes. And
Wow. Okay.
Certain databases that kind of collect that information that I link to also.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, as an organizational structure to drive it, if you're trying to monetize this, having all the information nicely organized helps you get sponsorships, like Nike and some of those other ones and stuff like that. Would be kind of the whole idea.
Right.
Is that it's, the more interest. I mean, do you get like a lot of commentary, like people actually making comments on your articles and discussions?
Not so much lately. The site's been around for a long time, since 2003.
Yeah.
But, so there's been intermittent commentary.
Yeah. Do you have any of this organization going right now, where you've kind of like broken it out and kind of like put any kind of like categories and tags right now for your
really
current
all
structure?
That's really all I've done so far.
Okay.
I only switched to WordPress back last summer.
Okay.
So it hasn't been on WordPress for that long.
Yeah.
So it's not very organized thus far.
Yeah. The more that you can make your website an information resource, the better. Because then that becomes something that someone might actually want to sponsor, and you can get someone to pay for the hosting and stuff like that, because you become an information resource. Make sense?
I think mostly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It does help though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could keep on going because, I mean, I think of a lot of stuff like this. I mean, you could go as far as like IMDb if you wanted to, and you could go stats crazy. When I used to work, my dad was a football coach, and probably 6 years of my junior high and high school year, all I did was stats. I couldn't stand football at all. So I sat there in the press box and I just did stats, and just tracked everything down. And statistics are fascinating because you can, see as a flow and stuff like that when things actually happen based on, is this particular quarterback every single time he quarterbacks with this particular receiver or whatever, you tie the stuff together and you get you have statistical backup for your analysis.
See, I use it, but I guess I play also, so I kind of, what I have done more recently is I provide some of the analysis and maybe interlay a YouTube video that I've done with a little bit of some of what I've said in the article, maybe something a little extra, just to throw into the video. They're not long videos.
Yeah.
Just something like that. Just kind of what, it's not, I would say it's not very statistically oriented.
Okay.
But I do use the stats a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, when it comes down to it, I think statistics, because anytime people are collecting data, I like to see statistics. What are the trends of this person being on this team? How many times have they won?
There's a lot of advanced stats. I know about them.
So
I don't really
get into that heart of it.
Into them all that much.
Okay. Well, it seems like more yours is more along the lines of like providing analysis.
Something that anyone that knows basketball could follow usually is kind of what I go for.
Yeah. Well, you're organizing stuff, and as the more organized it is, the more monetized it could be.
Yeah.
Elaine, give him a pod sticker.
Thank you.
I have stickers, so they look like this one right here, and I also have a big one that looks like just a little round thing. So if you ask a question or you bring up one of your websites, I will give you a sticker. So it gives you a reason to actually discuss your data model. Anybody else? Yes, Bill.
My blog post was to generate a book that I was writing about my father.
Okay.
And I used excerpts from the blog post that posted every week. And the first 45 or 50 came out of this book, American Dreamer, and people wound up being published. The website, Joe's Lifelong Legacy, has taken on a life of its own. I have Twitter account, so Joe's Lifelong Legacy.
Right.
And I have over 3,200 followers, and I put in quotes and things relating. I have a newsletter, because after the first 45 blog posts, this is over 3 years.
Wow.
So the last 15, 20 have been to promote the book and to get I'm working on my third book. It worked for me.
Okay.
So I'm getting good feedback, and I have the other social media.
So is it mostly a biography?
Yes, but it has a much more meaningful. It's a war hero.
War hero, okay.
Words to live by, love story. It has everything.
Okay, it's got a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, he's a great American, great American. And so, but the Twitter account, I put in about 5 or 10 quotes every a few weeks from great people.
What's the next book going to be about?
About me.
Okay.
It worked for me, because if it didn't work for me,
okay,
I wouldn't be here, because I have things that worked, how things have made a difference in life. So.
okay.
But that Joe's Lifelong Legacy, if you went on there, you can see how it's built. I have the monthly newsletter, and people have been responding to that very favorably.
So in your case, you did book excerpts was your primary,
yes.
As you were writing the book, to drive interest and to start building the audience ahead of time.
And now with the Twitter account, that's Joe's Legacy, takes on a whole different thing, because I get feedback and people respond.
And those are like meaningful quotes from his life and stuff like that.
His life, and also he helped build a museum in Washington, the Hirschman, and he also was instrumental in Ruth Eckerd Hall here.
Okay, so you're like, when you're doing the Twitter account feed, are you driving like articles about specific links to the site that are little moments in history?
And Instagram, I've also building up, it's a war stuff.
Okay.
It just covers the whole 20th century.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about this as like for a data model or a book model or a business model for someone wanting to sell a book. And this is kind of the best way to do it, where you do the book excerpts to drive interest, to build interest in the book. And then you get people signed up to the mailing list so that they actually start getting sample chapters. Did you also have like your readers or your book list people actually become beta readers for you?
Yes, they follow us. As I said, I got 3,200.
Yeah.
And this is how it looks on with the newsletter.
Yeah. We're not looking at design or anything of that nature. All we're talking about is structure and kind of the idea of like a content strategy. Your content strategy, you've already built it. You know what it is. We're just going to present it so that people can know what kind of content to collect to make it drive. Is there anything like you're wishing it did more of?
Yes, because I'm working with WordPress and I'm a neophyte on this, and I really need to I have someone working with me and MailChimp, but I need to do this on my own, and that's why I'm...
Yeah, I mean, most of our structured talks are not about actually designing or anything specifically about WordPress. This is more about, this specific talk is primarily to help you figure out what content you need to collect. Because a lot of people just, when they come up and say, I've got to build a website, they have absolutely no idea what they want to share. And you've already done that with the one, but you need to monetize it. And for monetizing on a book website, it's one of the hardest ones, because it's like, I've done this for one client before, and her primary monetizing was, have you been like asked to do talks at like bookstores and book signings and stuff like that?
Motivational speaking, that's also part of what's going to go into it. Okay,
so you've got your quotes, you've got your mailing list. That's actually an external thing. Your book is very specific. Your first book's very specific.
That's my second book. My first book was Light, Courage, and Hope, but it was about the Holocaust. But I wrote it with a Holocaust survivor about the 10 righteous nations. We had a reception at the Embassy of Israel, which is on a video on a website, Faith for Humanity. So
book sites like that, every one of them has their own little drive and focus, and every one of them has a different way to possibly monetize. If you're trying to make money from them, the best book signing events or book, points where you're going to be sitting there reading and talking about them, those are going to be your bookstore signing events, and pushing people to buy the book at Amazon. So sign up to my mailing list, get a first 3 chapters or get a couple of sample chapters. That's going to be the hook on all of those. That's primarily how you monetize a book website. And as an author, now that you're working into your third book, that's kind of where it's going to come from. You've got reviews and recommendations. I don't know if you've got those on there now. Do you have reviews and recommendations? Or testimonials?
That's what I'm working on, and that's why this third book, it worked for me. It takes off a little bit because there's a nice little genre of how things developed in persons, make a difference in your life, and share it and get feedback. So I'm hoping to use that in the followers that will 3,000 to get some feedback on that.
Well, how much interaction do your readers actually have with your site? Do they leave comments on the articles? Is there kind of like a way that they can personally interact?
I find that using Facebook has been a good way to do that.
Okay, so you're using Facebook more for your communication and community building.
But because of the Twitter account, that opens up a whole new people that are doing writing and promoting and publishing and stuff. So it interacts, and I need to pull in. I have one of my associates who works with me to pull in the people. Yeah, because with WordPress, I mean, based on its embed codes, you can easily just take the link from a Twitter thing and just drop that in, and the whole Twitter piece will actually drop right into your website. So that's actually quite helpful. You can pull in Twitter feeds and stuff like that as well, but typically you want to curate your Twitter content. You want to actually, they used to have a thing called Storify was an application that did it for Twitter and multiple different social media feeds, but I think you can still click and star and favorite specific tweets, and you want to be able to do that and pull that into your website. So, because it's like your testimonials are one thing. Testimonials are curated. Somebody reads your book. You have them, hey, what'd you think of the book? They come back with their personal name, their information, what really moved them about the book, and you use that to help promote your site. You can do the same thing with Twitter. Does it make sense? Yes, and I like when you were talking about the Texas parts. You had it tied in with, you could just click on, and that's really what I need to do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because your MailChimp is like, it's like the immediate way to give them a gift for signing up. And that's all about conversion, is that, hey, if you're thinking about buying the book, go ahead and sign up my list. I'll give you a free chapter. Yes, we've had that. So, and that's kind of the biggest thing, especially for like when you're writing a new book, inviting people to come in and actually critique and be a part of the process is for building up the membership. So really the purpose in this one is really to help drive and monetize the website, but also to get readers interested. So. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I may actually expand on some of these little data models in my own sweet time. Because I'll put these in as part of the slides as well, so that you guys. Thank you, Elaine. Give Bill a sticker. The big one. Oh my. Okay. All right. Yes, sir. I got two.
Okay. You wanted to talk about your genealogical website?
No, I wanted to go back and revisit the yoga one that you worked on.
Okay. Are you planning on building a yoga website? You're going to steal Elaine's business from her? Can't do that.
No, I'm doing one for dinner theater, and the data structure is very similar to this. And so since we've already talked about this.
For a dinner theater?
For a dinner theater, let's go pull up the yoga one.
Well, a dinner theater wouldn't be statewide. It's only like for the dinner theaters at the local location. Right. Those are completely different data structures.
No, what I wanted to see was on the yoga site, what is the product that's being sold? Is
teachers. The teacher directory. The teacher directory. Yeah. For a dinner theater, what's actually being sold is the shows.
Right. And so I've been working on this while we were talking. And so it shows going to have a date and a time, and
well, I mean, that's the schedule of events is the primary background data, right. But you really want to get people to the restaurant so they buy food. But granted, as a restaurant, they don't really make that much money on the food. They make most of their money on the show prices, so and the drinks and the drink tickets and stuff like that.
It's built into the price.
Yeah, so
it's not an a la carte. It's a buffet.
Gotcha. So they have a buffet. Okay, so it's really the food is not. It's just like to sell tickets to the shows. That's primarily
it. Primarily the
okay, purpose. So we have a dinner theater, and the purpose is to sell tickets to the shows.
So that is the product, and
The product in this case is definitely the shows, is the schedule. I'm going to put it down as the show schedule because that's really your primary data point. It is your event calendar, your season, and stuff like that. How you want to build up on that is, let's change the color scheme. I've got too many purples going on. I know. Are you guys bored yet? We're trying not to bore you.
well, the show's going to have actors, so we're going to have a collection of actors. That
Yes, that was going to be my next thing. Was going to be cast,
Pardon?
cast and crew, cast and their bios actually.
Cast is 4 or 5, and crew is 2 or 3.
Cast and bio. Well, you can honestly include crew as part of your cast.
Okay.
So, you're going to have. Well, obviously you've got the menu.
Yeah, but
Watch food.
The menu does not.
It's
change.
pretty static, so yeah, but it is informational. So, okay, you're going to have reviews of those shows. You're going to
We're
have
going to have the reviews from.
actual press reviews, and then you're also going to have like people that have actually come to see the show and their reviews, so that you make it kind of personal. God, I love this show. It was amazing. The food was awesome. Testimonials. Common content.
The venue,
The venue's like most of like your honestly it's a static thing. Your venue's static, so it's
Building doesn't change.
Yeah.
Address doesn't change.
and your show schedule determines when people can actually buy tickets and stuff like that ahead of time. You've got a reservation system, so that's pretty standard. What I would probably say organizationally, let's see, arrange, bring to front is the season. If they do like a standard season of shows,
10 a year or 5 a year.
do they collect? Do they have sponsors?
No.
Why not?
That's not their business model.
That's what you'd probably want. That's an opportunity, is to get sponsors.
Oh, there's lots of opportunities that,
Yeah.
that can be expanded on.
Yeah.
Sponsors,
Maybe.
direct advertising.
What's the other
placement
word? What's it called? Like, oh golly. I mean, all of them do it. All of the Mahaffey and all of those do it. They have people that are
Underwriters?
not the underwriters. It's like when you join you get something back for it. It's like the member-supported radio.
Sponsors and stuff.
That's sponsors, but it's not. That's the wrong word for it. Patrons. Thank you. Patrons. That's the big thing. It's a dinner theater. You want to give people like a feeling like if they pay into the concept of the dinner theater and they're a patron, that they get special table and they always get their seat or their name is like emblastered on the back of a seat or on a wall, for sponsoring or providing patronage for the 2003 season. That's where they're going to get more of their extra money at. Okay? The more money they get, the better the shows they can do. Are they union?
No.
Okay. Are they wanting to be union?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
Equity.
They are equity?
No, they're not.
Okay, so they're not wanting to be equity. That's yeah. Thank you. Patrons. Okay. So part of that website would be let's talk about not just selling tickets, but selling patronage, selling memberships, selling season memberships, selling that whole concept. Like most of our big theater groups in town, every single one of them, the reason they get all the money they get is because they do that. They sell season memberships where you can buy the entire season. You can come to see 4 shows. You can call us at a moment's notice and have a seat reserved, all that kind of thing. Okay? That's where their money is going to come from, is promoting that side of it. The other stuff is informational. It's good. It's very useful stuff. But the big thing on this one is selling patronage.
It's going to be a challenge bringing that to their attention.
No, it won't. Show them Free Fall Theater. Show them Mahaffey, any of them, Ruth Eckerd, all of that stuff. That's how they make their money.
because those are their direct competitors.
Yeah.
So they need to know and understand what their direct competitors are doing in order to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not aware of what the other artists are doing, you can go on their website and then all information will be there. It's not anything they have to do that's too deep.
Yeah.
It's
That's
at
how
their
they.
fingertips.
It's how they sell the tickets.
Yeah.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but they've got their own idea of how things should proceed, and they seem to be only interested in presenting the show with a meal.
Okay.
And so that,
well, then your
that
structure
genre right there of dinner theater, there's only like 2 or 3 in the city.
Yeah, there's only a few.
Show Palace and Early Bird and these folks.
Right. But the thing about it is that
all theaters compete.
Right. And those that have come before them, why did they fail? What were the missed opportunities?
Yeah.
Right.
And so what I guess what I'm saying is, even if you expand outside of Florida and just look at this go to my talk, UX research, that if they go and do even high-level research about the dinner theater community and what caused them to fail and where they fail, it will be because of that box. And what Jim is saying is, if you pull out your basic information that Google has at their fingertip, and they look at their direct competitors, because theater is theater. It doesn't, they're showing the show. The meal is extra. The meal is unique. That's their unique competitive advantage. But it's theater. It's the top of the charts. It's the show that's pulling them in. It's not food. So who are they competing with? They're competing with Strats. They're competing with any venue that puts on a concert.
They're competing with American Stage.
They don't perceive that as their competitor.
And they should. They should.
Because their competitors don't serve meals.
It honestly doesn't matter, because I mean, I have a choice of like buying a ticket for that price or buying a ticket for a little more at Free Fall Theater, and I don't get food with it.
And then
but at this point, I'm just trying to see how the structure fit.
Well, and what I guess, not to jump off that too fast, if you look at your competitors, I'm quite sure they have a deal where you can do a theater and a dinner somewhere.
Yeah.
I guarantee, because when I was in Charlotte and I worked at the box office in Charlotte at our theater, they did have big package deals. So it may be that they serve the food is unique, but having theater and dinner is not unique.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, but
there's some dynamics in here that I'm not going to permit that at this point.
Okay.
And they're outside of my control and outside of my recommendation.
I'm just where our goal is to.
And I fully agree with what you're saying. And I see those opportunities.
Our goal is to always add more function
and a business model. But right now, what I'm trying to figure out is how what they have fits into the structure.
It's pretty straightforward. It's cast and bio, press reviews, testimonials, and the show schedule. It's super simple. Super simple.
So the individual shows then would be the products?
That's your primary product, because that's what you're selling tickets to.
And then underneath that, what's the difference then between organizational and sub?
Well, in this case, the only organizational is that you would connect in your cast and bio, because it's nice to do like cast pages, a specific page for each cast member, or to just do a cast page for that particular show, that sort of thing.
Right.
And organizationally, you're basically the season, what season they're actually doing the show, because there's not a lot of like organizational for theater unless you're going to say they're doing a musical or a comedy or a drama. And if it's a dinner theater, it's almost always a musical, if I'm not mistaken.
Their name is just for laughs, so they're doing farces.
Okay, so they're doing it. That's not ever going to change.
The actors will change.
The actors will change, but it'll be mostly
for 8 weeks.
So that's a season. So you have a season of like how many shows for the year and stuff like that. What shows they've done before, give like a history, stuff like that. Makes sense?
So past seasons then would be.
Season is usually just the year. Season is almost always just the year, the primary year that those shows were shown in.
Right.
So like our 2020 season, our 2016 season, our 2014 season.
Right.
That's all those are. You have honestly very little organizational on this one at all. So your primary information is what people were doing, which shows at what time, and when they did the show and when they last did that show.
So in this particular data model, most of this will be sub-content versus organizational.
There's no organizational on this. The organizational, like I said, is just the season.
Okay.
Okay. The patronage is the big function. The fundraising, and I'm sorry, I've worked in theaters my entire life too. That's another little side thing. You have to have sponsors.
I was gonna ask, do they do anything in the community? Do they reach out into the community any? Because that would be some more of your sub-content that you could potentially use, or even organizational, depending on who they're affiliated with.
I absolutely understand that.
No, I'm just asking in general.
And as far as I know, no, they've not communicated any of that to me.
And that's when theaters fail. When they don't,
And this is where organizations, community, different groups, church groups or whatever, special people, they have like a fundraiser, and if you reach out to them, you know, that you'll get them to be, I don't know, patrons, but they'll come in mass, and they'll put aside some of the costs for the tickets, and they get the part of the fundraiser.
Yeah.
And we've had that in our group.
I know you're not wanting to do that with them, and that's fine, but I'm just telling you, as a data model, what we discuss here is how to make more functionality, add more purpose to the website. And for a theater website, the most critical way to build purpose is to get more sponsorships and patronage. So, okay. Yeah, give him a sticker. Yes, Greg, or sorry. Both of you raised your hand at the exact same time, so.
Music composer.
Music composer. So it's a website for a music composer?
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right.
Like, you know, an up and coming music composer has done some things, but
Yes.
Okay.
but, you know,
Isn't like well known yet, but is getting there? Okay.
exactly
Okay. So they're writing their own music, right? Not doing covers and stuff like that?
correct.
Okay. All right. So a composer website. Well, obviously, the most critical thing for a composer, I'll just call it musical composer, is to get work.
This has tentacles out to like podcasts, musical stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of it, yes. But yeah, they're going to need to track the work they do. That's the primary thing. That's their primary content model, is the work that they're doing. So whether they're providing it as, are they selling albums? Are they selling?
Well, I've already got some music out there that it's on a different site.
Okay.
That where they can listen to the entire song, or they can download it for $1.
Okay. So.
And he does have other things out there as well that he does, not just, it's, you know, it's for movies, for documentaries.
Right.
For,
Okay. So examples of the work, and so they're doing composing for a wide variety of things, not just an album. They're doing things for commercials, TV shows, music, or movies, that sort of thing. Okay.
As well as
I'm sorry?
high school bands.
Okay.
Percussion sections.
Wow.
With writing the percussion music as well as choreography.
Okay.
Where they need to be on the field.
Dang. So they do the choreography too?
Yes.
Wow, that's different. Okay. I have no.
Enjoys more of the.
You have stumped the gym. No, just kidding. Not quite. You haven't stumped me yet, but I mean, no, this is kind of like the same concept of, it's like selling a book. You're trying to sell the work you do. So they're trying to promote and get more people to hire them is the main thing. So you want to show off the variety of the work they do and get more work.
At the end of the movie when it says music written by.
Yeah.
You know.
They want that,
yes.
But you want work. They want paid work.
Before they can get their name on.
Yeah. So in this kind of a situation like this, compositions is the main content, but it's not. It's actually the resume or the what do you call it? The body of work.
Right.
Because
their
portfolio. Thank you. That's the word. Thank you. I hate the word portfolio because it's too wide open.
It's an art, so it's portfolio.
It is a portfolio. Yep, you're quite right. Okay, so
and to be able to sell what he's got already, on the site, as far as.
Oh yeah, because I mean they could be using, like, if he's created a composition with a choreography for a band, that's something that he can resell pretty easily. He doesn't have to send them to another site to do it, does he?
As of now, yes.
As of now, yes. Okay.
Yeah, trying to redo everything so that it's just on this one.
Okay. Yeah, because if it's his work, he maintains the copyright for it?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right, let's see. Examples of work. Portfolio is not the primary product. I'm going to change that back to compositions because you are selling compositions. Yeah. In this kind of a situation, what you're primarily wanting to give them is examples of the types of work he does and make it easy for people that are looking for, I need a ditty, I need a this, I need a jingle, I need I'm laying out a composition and I need somebody to do a quick cover of this particular song for a band, because can he do that? Is he also, yeah, okay. Because I don't know how that works, if that's allowed to be happening when you do a cover of an existing number. You've got the music sheet and the composition, but you're not selling the music sheet. You're selling the choreography and the composition for the percussion section.
Right.
So that's it's an arrangement, is what that is. That's an arrangement. Thank you, Jim. I knew the word was in there somewhere. Arrangements and choreographies. That's another thing he's selling. So that's kind of the thing you'd be wanting to show off, is like little video clips of different arrangements and setups he's done for different bands.
Right.
And kind of like do like maybe a 10 to 30 second clip of those and say, you can also have me arranging choreography stuff for your band, stuff like that. So that's a funnel. That's a sales funnel for one of those. Jingles, movie compositions, because they're all kind of different. Jingles are like things that you'd be doing for a commercial bit, or like if someone wants like an intro or outro music, that kind of thing. Show as many different examples of the types of work he does in an organized way, and then make it so that on each one of those, you've got the ability to say, hey, would you like to order one of these for yours? Because if you've got the sales funnel part of it in the same place where the item is, it makes it easier for Google to find and land on that page. So like if I'm out there saying, I'm looking for an introduction music for a commercial or for a video, I want to have that land me on that page with examples of things he's done and make it easy to order him right from that page or engage him.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And the goal ultimately is to get to doing movie music. Is he doing movie music now?
He's done short films.
Okay.
Several short films.
Okay. I'm going to put the portfolio as sub-content because it's stuff that if you're trying to sell the ability to do those as well, the main thing is highlighting each one of those in a very specific way so that you can show the type of content and the breadth of content that he can do, and then make it easy for someone to engage him from that page.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Very much so.
All right, cool. And testimonials. Everybody does well with testimonials. It was awesome to work with him. He was like so fast. My gosh, I love that video. Yeah, that was, that whole thing. Okay?
Yeah, he's had some of those too. So.
Yeah. And organizationally, what you would actually end up doing is like kind of bringing a connection again between the different types of work. That's your primary on those kind of things, is to kind of connect them by type of work. So maybe it's a type of instrument, because some people are looking for very specific, like you said, percussion.
Right.
Maybe they're looking for a piano composition. Maybe they're looking for a violin composition. Maybe they're looking for an orchestra or a small band or a jazz band or medieval music. So that kind of thing. Okay? Cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I'll fix all those to green when I publish this.
Would a bio be in the sub-content?
No, that's just informational. That's like your about page. Yeah, yeah. I always like, it's very funny because like I don't think of, that is content, yes, but it's more of your base content. So, yeah. This is stuff that drives the purpose of your site. Actually, she asked first. So.
Well, I don't know if it's like too redundant. I was going to ask about a band.
A band, like a rock band?
Americana band, yeah.
Americana band. Okay, they are different from this structure, primarily because they're selling both albums, discs, or they don't do albums and discs anymore, but they're selling their music.
Oh, yeah.
They're selling their music and they're selling their concerts.
Yes, we're trying to get higher.
Those are the two things they're selling, and they're trying to book events.
Yeah.
So those are the three primary things. I can kind of keep it in the same lip here because it kind of fits the same thing. You have samples of the music. Mm-hmm. You have testimonials of the people that listen to the music. You have your entire event calendar.
Yeah.
Big, huge. And book us.
Yeah.
That's everything. That's the primary one. Any kind of like an entertainment person, that's all what it comes down to is like promote the things they've done, promote where they've done so that people can see they've got a history of actually doing events and being successful at it, mm-hmm. not just doing events and not showing up. Their upcoming events and a way to book them quickly. And that's primarily the big drive. Testimonials, press, and yeah. Okay, cool. That was easy. And was it? Darn it. I'm like, so good.
It's not darn it. That's
no, it's Diane? Not Diane. Yeah. Sarah, where in the world did Diane come from? I don't know. But it was bad. Okay. They're very bad.
Ron, I'm a newbie.
Ron, yes, okay.
I'm a newbie here, that is, not a newbie at the WordPress. But so I got a couple of questions. So is this the framework every time you build a site, you start out designing it in this fashion?
I start, honestly, whenever I design a site, I actually start with a wireframe. I start with because I either look to see what other sites have done, to see kind of how they've organized some of their structure. Mm-hmm. Because once you've seen a site and you've seen how they've organized their event calendar, or you've seen how they've organized their list of services they offer, or any of that kind of information, that gives you a really good example of a consistent layout that you may want to present the content on your own site.
Improve on it.
And improve on it, exactly.
Okay, so do you have
and then I do a data model.
And do you have like a blank, let's say, do you have a favorite theme, like a Genesis, for instance?
I honestly, if you go back in our history, I never think theme first, ever. Theme is design. Theme is just looks.
Okay.
If you do a wireframe first,
mm-hmm.
your design automatically happens. It has nothing to do with the theme. That's kind of how, I hate to say it, but it's true. It's like if you think of structure first and you think of your wireframe first, design just happens. You make it look cleaner. You make it fit on a white,
A couple more questions if you don't mind. Okay, wireframe based on desktop version, right?
I do both. Sketch actually is my favorite design tool, so I tend to actually do most of my design inside Sketch.
Some way to
and I design mobile first. I always think along the line. It depends on the site. Again, if I'm selling, like for our website for Pods, most of the people that are using our plugin do not come to us from a phone. They come to us from a computer desktop because they're currently working on designing a website. So they come to us from a website. So I know that most of them are coming from that direction. So I don't design mobile first, but I always have it in mind first.
So is that Pods? Is that your plugin?
Yeah, that's the plugin.
Because that's blowing me away. I've built over 250 sites. I've never even heard of that.
A lot of people haven't. I mean, a lot of people use ACF. They use types. They use different things. I mean, our plugin helps you build stuff quickly.
Now, let me ask you a question about that. Does that work along with relationships and taxonomies like you talked about earlier?
Yes.
Pods thing?
Yes.
Now, what does it do? Can it pull in relationships? Like if you pull in a piece of content, does it automatically pull in other content?
If you go to our TampaBayWordPress.org, or go to when I upload the slides on this, mm-hmm. there's a link on there. And there's one of the videos is called Grow Beyond Posts and Pages. It's actually inside our YouTube Tampa Bay WordPress YouTube thing. It has the most hits. There's a video in there called Grow Beyond Posts and Pages, and it gives a complete overview of Pods. I'm not going to go into it tonight because that's not what this talk's about.
Okay.
But because I don't want to like drive everybody, I could sit here and talk for hours on that one, and I don't want
Are
to.
you going to get into content creation?
Not tonight, no.
Not tonight?
No, this is totally on content strategy.
Content strategy. Okay.
Yeah, we do not talk. This is about building a structure so that you know what you actually need to collect.
But-
Most people don't know. So, yeah, go ahead.
But we do have from two sessions ago,
Mhm.
content creation.
Yeah, we have a kind of it's more along the lines of like what content to help drive your SEO and stuff like that, or how to do. Yeah, that's different. But I
The
mean,
reason I mentioned that is because I've been doing SEO since 2004. I've got a method that I use for discovering the keywords and getting the content.
yeah, Charles did a good talk on that.
It's pretty
These guys are doing a talk on SEO for beginners for their website, and not beginners, well, kind of.
For WordPress.
Yeah, for WordPress. On Thursday, we have another video in there that I keep wanting to say Saeed, and that's not right.
I made a video on how I do it. Is
Okay.
it possible for me to share it somehow in your group?
Yeah, I mean, you can provide it in the Facebook group. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's-
what's the name of your Facebook group?
it's on our website, tampabaywp.org.
Okay.
On the very top hand, here, I'll show you. On the very top hand corner, Tampa Bay, there we go. Drag that. Come on, you, wake up. Stop being so slow. There we go. Upper right hand corner, Facebook, Meetup, Slack, YouTube, and Twitter.
Cool.
Okay. They're also down in the bottom right. Content strategy wise, I mean, this is GeneratePress, but I also did it in Genesis and I did it in a couple other things. This is all built with pods. And again, all I'm doing is building structure. This piece here is from a Meetup's post type. It's a little bitty block that like automatically outputs based on is the site currently active or is our Meetup currently active, and it outputs in the correct order based on that.
Also, it's dynamic.
It is dynamic. All of that's dynamic. The upcoming events is dynamic. Each of our upcoming events, if you click on one of the upcoming events, this links to the Meetup page, that links to my speaker
Pods
page.
does all this?
Yeah, these are relationships.
Very nice.
So like if I go to St. Petersburg downtown, I'm taken to my Meetup page for St. Petersburg downtown, which pulls in all of our past events down here and our upcoming events. It also pulls in who all the organizers are, what our Meetup calendar is. It pulls in the venue and when we meet and all that information. So all of that is coming from there. And the nice thing is, like here, when I click on a speaker, I'm taken to a speaker page that has a bio. It pulls in the website and Twitter automatically. It pulls in, if I'm an organizer, it pulls that in, and it pulls in my speaking history. So,
Very nice.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And then up here, all of our events.
Is that where all your videos and such are?
Yeah.
For these?
Yeah. I'm going to probably like do another level of breakdown where we break it off into talks. But like all of our events are actually listed in order. But when you click on any one of these, like a prior one, let's go back to one that happened before. Choosing a WordPress host. When you're on the actual event, it pulls in it's a header image there, but it pulls in the video and it pulls in a link to the slides. And all that's coming in through pods as well. And I prototyped this thing honestly in once I built the structure, which didn't take that long, I popped in a couple of fields. I built that structure in probably like less than an hour. And the nice thing is it's just, this is GeneratePress. I like our theme because we're using the graphic arts that we used from one of our WordCamps from back in 2015, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lindsay did these fun little character thingies, and I took them and created a seamless background, and then all I really did was I wanted the header to have a certain color, and then to automatically seamlessly pop into a background color. But it creates the brand without doing much work. So, and that's kind of the thing. It's not an amazing website, but it's not a bad website. It's dynamically driven. All of our we have a speaker archive right here, and it lists all of our speakers. So this is all dynamic, automatically. So, well, I keep building on it. I'm probably going to be adding some more taxonomy to it, stuff like that. So we're at 7:45. I've got time for maybe one more. Yes.
So I have kind of a business process question, if
Okay.
that's okay. I'm kind of interested for the people in the room who build websites for clients, how formal or casual of a process you use to collect content from clients.
I'm pretty formal.
Like, so tell me.
Okay.
Like,
So like I said, during the discovery process, you're going to find out what they're looking for. Your job is to provide more value to the website, so that you actually can charge more for it when you're building a site. So your job during discovery is to see from what they want to take it that extra steps further, kind of like what we've done in the talks tonight with each one of these data models, is to see how much more functionality can I add to the site to make it more valuable to them and give them more of a measurable return on investment. Because that's what it all comes down to, is that when you're trying to build value into a site, you have to tie it to their monetary value. Because if they're going to spend $15,000 for it, or $20,000, or $50,000, or $1 million, you have to be able to show how that connects to an actual return on investment.
Sure, but I mean, like, literally, how do you get the content from that?
Well, I guess the question is, what kind of content are you looking at? Are you generating it? Are they generating it?
Well, let's say they're generating it. Otherwise, you need a copywriter and stuff. So they have the text and the images and any other media and things like that. And it's a big site, let's say. So how do you give them a spreadsheet? Like, literally,
No, I do the structure on the back end. I make the structure very clean. I use custom post types and fields and taxonomies,
Right.
and they're used to seeing that back-end WordPress editor. You know, here, I'll show you.
So you have them go and fill it in right in the website?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't do that because I want to make sure it's formatted.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing, is like, it depends on the type of content you're talking about.
Right.
It should be content that they should feel comfortable completing. It's their content.
Yeah. Because I guess my question is, are they giving it to you in a Word document and handing it on?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like, how do people collect that? Like, do you do it in a really formal way? Like, send them a list of
No, I honestly, for every single client I've ever worked for, I do not do their content for them. I give them a content structure. I build a back end that has the data model the way we've talked about, and I have them input from the back end. They do no design. I do not let them do any design.
Well, right, obviously they wouldn't do design, but I usually set the page up for them initially, and then, you know.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you give them some examples.
Put it in there for them.
Okay, you give them some examples. Well, I'll give you an example. I had a client that came to me who wanted to do, what do you call it? He sold ultrasound equipment, the little wands, the little reader things, the connector cables, and the boxes that did the ultrasound work.
Right.
And he basically would get like a list of stuff from his multiple vendors in a spreadsheet format, probably about every month. I looked at building the whole thing in pods, I said, and I looked at the structure and the budget he had, and I said, nope, I'm doing it in WooCommerce. Because, again, I mean, that's a structure, but again.
I would have them put in products like that, but I'm just talking about normal pages.
Normal pages, there's no reason they can't write their own content, unless there is.
No, they would, but I'm just like, where there needs to be a header or where there needs to be a subheader, like, I wouldn't have them do that part. I would get the data from them.
Well,
it depends on the article.
Well, I would say the simplest form, even the big companies I've been in, we use just a Word document. You type it up, you write it up, and then they pass it off to you, and then you format it. And you format it as.
Well, even in those structures, because typically what I've done for those kind of things, where you've created a consistent format for a particular way of presenting a specific block of content. So let's say this is not a blog article. This is something informative, like a staff information with their bio and stuff like that. You would break that content down into its little content pieces. They would put that information into those content pieces, and then you would design a template that outputs it with the right headers and stuff.
Not like replicated information like that.
Okay.
Like
give me an example.
Like, I have a client who offers a lot of services, but every service page is a little bit different because every service is a little bit different. So those pages aren't identical. It's not like a format I can set up. So,
well, I mean,
design the page for
there
them.
should be
They have
some,
to give me, images or pick out images.
yeah, there should be some consistency to their services, even if they are differing services, because in most cases, even with like a doc site, you got an overview, you got a short description that gets the person, is this something I want to read about? You got like some highlight features.
But she's talking about process. You're talking about structure.
Yeah.
She's talking about process, which is slightly different. And process is going to be what you determine works for you.
Right.
So
and I was just interested to hear how other people do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. A Word document, you have your schedule of you back into when you need it by date.
Yeah.
And you have your schedule and you give them a timeline. Maybe the article gets to you by a certain time. The images come in later by a certain time. So then that way you meet your deadline. But that's process versus structure.
Yeah,
And so,
I always focus on structure because I always come from the viewpoint of I want my clients to actually input their own content. I don't want to input their content for them.
Yeah, I usually do it pretty loosey-goosey, so I was just interested to see if other people have different ways that they do it.
For me, it depends on the client and what they're willing to pay for and what I know of their writing skills, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had some that I work with that tend to be very wordy and it doesn't work well on the web.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'll build that cost in because I know that I'm going to have to go through, because I want their content, I want their words.
Right, they still have to be.
But I may need to break it out on the website and, okay, this is like 3 chunks of.
Do you just like send them a Word document or do you just say?
With the right
I
questions.
just have them send me like, okay, these are the pages that we need, this is the information that I need, so I need you to write something about X.
Okay.
Just put that in a Word document, send it to me. I typically will use like Slack or some other or another like project management tools, depending on what they're comfortable with.
Right.
And just get them to upload it there so that I've got it all in one nice neat little area so I can just go retrieve it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this works, got it, this works, got it, or if there's updated, like if.
I use Google Docs for that kind of stuff too. Yeah.
I have to send it back to them saying, hey, this isn't quite what we needed.
Right.
And if you're trying to add formality to that and give it more to the point where you're getting things back on a very specific deadline time, do a Google Docs, tie it in with USign or one of those so that it has a workflow back and forth thing.
Right.
And it forces them to do it on a very specific, and put the deadlines in your contract.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Is that they need to have some onus to that, because if you're waiting for content, like it can take forever, because people don't realize how long it takes to write.
Well, and that's why when I used to turn over websites for clients and I was waiting on their content, I would have them pay for the design and the layout. And basically that was the end of the project step. And it would never go live until they did. I would never move it to their server till they did. I would keep it on mine. But that same client that did the application inventory thing with the wands and all that shit, it was on my site. He paid his balance. He never took it over. I deleted it. He had exactly 90 days.
Yeah, I've definitely had a client pay me for a site and then never. I'm like, I've done everything I can do on the site. There's nothing else I can do on it, so I just need you to pay.
No, but that's the thing, is that you make that part of your contract so that they don't even get to, when they sign off on the design, they're paying for that step. And then it's kind of like you basically work it up so that there's always a point where the delivery comes from you. They don't get that delivery from you until they pay.
Oh, yeah.
And then that way, it's always on them if things die. And this particular client was, very bad about the deadlines on his end. So I specifically had deadlines in my contract, and I sat there and said, we had a year contract. You have a year to get this thing where it needed to go. And I stopped that. I started doing 90 days. But I said, you have had a year and you've still not touched this. We're done. You contact me in 1 week and we'll start a new project. But if you don't, we're done.
Most of them will get to the point of, like, they're realizing that, okay, I really need this website.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to write this, because they
and they'll pay you to do the content. Yeah.
And that's where it pays to know, okay, either I can write this for you, this is what I'll charge, I know copywriters who can get this done for us. Like, what do you want to choose?
Give them options. Yeah, give them options. Okay.
And that brings more income.
We're at the 8 o'clock point, so I'm going to wrap this up. So we have done a handful of good data models, not too bad. So we're not done. We're not done. We're not the applause type yet. So
Yeah. Be recognized at this point anyway.
yes. So where to get help with pods? We have a website, pods.io. That actually is not correct anymore. I need to change that. We have shifted all of our forum stuff to the WordPress.org forums. We have a Slack chat, which I sit on every day. And I answer questions. I give consulting and all that kind of stuff. We have a YouTube channel as well called youtube.com Pods Framework, all that good stuff. Pods is a free plugin with free support. We believe that price shouldn't be a factor or an obstacle in getting you started building powerful data-driven websites. That's why Pods is free. But just because we're free doesn't mean we're not valuable. If you find value from the websites you build with Pods, please consider giving back to the project by joining Friends of Pods. We are a membership-supported plugin. We do not charge a dime. Never have. We actually are celebrating our 10-year anniversary next Monday. We've been in business or providing WordPress plugin as Pods for 10 years. Yes?
Jim, can you explain pods versus podcasts?
Completely different thing.
All right.
Podcast has nothing to do with WordPress.
How do you come up with that?
Pods is basically the name for pods is because if you think about like a pea pod or a pea pod, it's like, you have a little block of information. Well, that information can continue to keep growing. You can continue to collect more and more information about something. And it's adding more content and data to a site is what builds more functionality to it. And that's kind of where we came up with the name from. Yeah, we're not pods like the moving company. We're pods. Similar, but not quite. So, thank you.
You have just watched a recorded presentation from our WordPress St. Petersburg meetup. We meet twice a month on the first and third Tuesdays in downtown St. Pete at the Suncoast Developers Guild. If you've enjoyed this presentation and found it useful, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to be notified when new videos are added. You can find out more about WordPress St. Petersburg at our website at tampabaywp.org and at our meetup site at meetup.com/WordPress-St-Petersburg. Thanks.